Hey there. Hey, everybody. This is CT over the NYC Indian. Welcome back. Today, we're going to be reviewing Married at First Sight. This is going to be coming to you from an urban perspective, a native perspective, and a secular perspective. So let's dive right on. Let's dive right on in. But before we do that, first, I just want to say to everybody who has been watching my videos and who's been engaging and giving thumbs up and stuff like that. I really appreciate it. Sometimes like I'm such a fast talker, fast thinker. Sometimes I forget to stop and thank you guys. I see that some of you guys are new subscribers. Thank you so much and welcome to my channel. We are totally here with the shenanigans. So this is not quite the heavy part of the season yet, right? Because this is just still weddings and things like that. But, it's still for me something that I kind of enjoy doing because you know me, I like to see that initial interaction. I like to see that eye contact and stuff like that. So, yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in. This is a very small, modest, we'll call it a boutique channel, okay? So everyone here is welcome and appreciated. So let's dive right on in. So first, okay, I'm not gonna go in line, and you guys see me looking away. I'm looking at my notes. So let's start off with Chris and Nicole. So as I suspected, there was chemistry initially. Now, I mean, okay, let me rewind. So they're getting ready, they're trying on different outfits and things like that. And Nicole is very endearing to me. Because Nicole, she talks a lot and like she's very passionate and stuff like that. And in some ways I can kind of relate to that. And Nicole, Nicole always looks very nice. She always looks very clean and put together. She's a regular woman, right? If we saw Nicole, she looks like somebody you would see when you're out shopping. So I think in some ways she's kind of relatable, and I think that's possibly going to make her be one of the more popular characters, or popular, I shouldn't say characters, of people here this particular season. And I remember in the scene where she's with her mom and those are going to be her bridesmaids, I guess they were her friends. And she's trying on the dress and everything. And, that was very nice. And her mom seems to be very supportive of her. Now, when we get over to okay, sorry, don't know what happened there. That's the internet. What can you do? So anyway, Chris is with his brothers and he's trying on his tux. And I just got to say, listen, guys, come on. I'm not going to do a video without some kind of fashion critique and beauty. I'm shady and petty like that. What can I say? But anyway, that suit was like, what are you wearing with like the piping and stuff and just, whatever. Listen, whenever in doubt, just stick with the classic black tux and make sure it fits you, for God's sake. And not and this whole skinny tight jean trend that, I hope is just like gonna burn in the dumpster fire. That does not work for every man's body, just like it doesn't work for every woman's body. Like you can't be going all tight on these suits. I can't stand that. Sometimes it's just such a waste of a good suit. Just go up a size, get a little bit altered, get your size, get something close to your size. I didn't like that. So anyway, they get to the altar, right? And I mean, he sees her coming down the aisle, and well, before he sees her coming down the aisle, first her bridal party's coming in. Now, I'm thinking to myself, all right, is he gonna be like, okay, as he sees like the first bridesmaid and he sees the second bridesmaid and then he sees the mom? I'm just, all right, listen, guys, I'm just being honest here, just my opinion. I was wondering in my mind, like, if he was like, uh-oh, like, who's next? And, the mother, poor thing, bless her heart, the mother, you saw the hairstylist, she's putting in the powder to kind of fill in the spots and stuff like that. I think mom should have probably opted for a wig. For this particular occasion, I understand you don't want to, she's not obviously like a high maintenance woman or whatever, but for your daughter's day, I mean, it was a little too splotchy here and there. And I understand hair loss and stuff like that. I mean, I worked in that industry for a long time, but sometimes the little spray thing, the little hair fibers are not going to get it. But anyway, that's just my critique, whatever. So when she comes down the aisle, he does he brightens up. He seems pleased. And I was happy with that because I was a little bit worried, even though, because you can talk about you're a nice guy all day long and you just want somebody nice and da 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 da. But sometimes people, when you're a little bit curvy or you don't have like that shape, like, swimsuit model or something like that, sometimes, it can be a little, and Nicole's a little bit thick with it, right? I mean, she is. And so that's what I'm saying. Nicole is like a regular woman, but she came down that aisle and, they seem to be like just making eye contact and having chemistry. And when she got up there, she was so excited and, and stuff like that. And I think, I think that they both were happy with what they saw. Later on, once they were talking, before I get to that part, they were talking about like, he was like, oh, I guess your name was Nicole. And she was like, oh, I guess your name was Chris. And, that's kind of like, is that kismet? I don't know. I don't even believe in that. But anyway, I just thought it was like really endearing. And it was a nice start to, like their future together. So, okay, let's see. What happened with these two next? So, okay, mutual attraction. Okay. All right. So, yeah, they kiss and everything like that. And that was another thing I wanted to see. Were they going to kiss? And if they did, how did it go? But they seem to be pleased. The family seemed to be pleased. So, I mean, people are saying, oh, well, she talks a lot and maybe that's going to turn him off. I don't know. I mean, listen, he's at that altar explaining how he lost his ring, or sorry, how he lost his finger and stuff like that. I just think, from what we're seeing, he just wants somebody nice and decent that he can come home to. Now, hopefully I'm right. Hopefully it stays like that. But they both seem genuine. So if this continues at this rate, we may have a couple that's going to stay together. I personally predicted that they would stay together, just like my knee-jerk predictions like I like to do at the beginning of the season. But we'll see. We'll see. So anyway, okay. So now we're going to go over to Gina and Clint. All right. So, he's trying on his tux and everything like that. And, the first tux, it was like, all right, or whatever, the navy blue, but, he's coming out there with this little tumbler glass, like, Fred Astaire, something like that. And, what he wound up choosing was like, he always wants to, I think he really leads with his whole sailing thing. I think that is like very much ingrained into his personality. And I feel like he even wants to present at the altar, look how absolutely laid back I am. I don't know about that because, I mean, was it just me or I don't know. Did he look like he was going to a conference? Like his entire groom's party, they all had on ties and they were dressed up and stuff like that. Why was he so casual? I just didn't get that. I'm not, there's a time and a place for that. You're not on your boat, relax with that. So anyway, she looks really good, when she tried on her dress and everything. Now, she is a very curvy girl. And shout out to all the curves, because, honey, she was like, she was very, I mean, she looked great. She really, really looked good in her dress. And she seemed excited. And, she seems like she's very much on a, she's just trying to be positive and stuff like that. And, her mom is talking to her. And it's so funny, her and her mom, like, I can see it a little bit in the eyes, but for the most part, like, I wouldn't even know that was her mother. They do have a different look. So when they meet up at the altar, he's looking at her and I'm thinking to myself, my initial reaction was like, he's not into her. I don't know. I really did think that. Did any of you guys think that? If you did, put it below in the chat what you guys thought about Clint's reaction, because it was a little bit hard to read, but he was kind of like this. And he's looking, and he's just searching and searching like for different things on her. And I was feeling like maybe it's because, she's done up, but, we don't want these guys up here, the natural Nista Nazi guys to be judging women on their wedding day, for God's sakes. I mean, of course, you're going to be dressed up and have on makeup and stuff. But I mean, I just didn't think he was that into her. I don't know. It's not that his face looked disappointed, but it was just like something, based off of like some of the things that he said in past episodes and stuff like that. I didn't feel it. And then I felt like the same thing on her end too. I felt like she wasn't really into him either. However, because she's so devoted to the process and she's determined to see it through and give it a good shot, she was just like, when she saw him, she's like, the whole time, right? Her mouth was just like open the whole time. And, I did think that he was shorter than her. The way he kind of, maybe it's just the way he kind of presents with his stature, but when they were side by side, I was like, oh, he actually is taller than her, I think. And she had on heels. So, sometimes that can be an issue for some couples, right? If the guy is shorter than the woman or whatever, some people don't like that. So, that didn't seem to be much of a thing. But I just wasn't getting it. You know what I mean? Now, later on, after they did their vows and everything like that, then it seemed like he was into her. So it went from me thinking like he's looking at her and he's like kind of scanning her, right, with his eyes, to later on to like, oh, okay, this is not so bad. Now, I think because he was still out there in them streets, what, 2.5 weeks ago, right? Isn't that what he said with the fellas? I don't think he's ready to settle down. I think that he's going to try and find something wrong with this woman and try and pick her apart. I feel like what he's looking at right now is, I don't know. I mean, I guess it was like, it almost feel like he was looking at her, but like in a lust-filled way, right? Like, oh, she's cute, and, or not cute, but like, she's like a sexy kind, because she's curvy and everything like that. She's sexy. She's got these big lips. I mean, we all know she's had an enhancements. Now, let's talk about those lips for a second. Now, I mean, listen, to each his own, honey. And let me tell you something. When I get to, as I age or whatever, I am fighting it tooth and nail, and I don't care what anybody has to say. Now, I think, and if you got the money, that's your business, right? But I do think it needs to look a little bit more subtle. Now, I know everyone that gets enhancements are not looking for subtlety. We all watch that show Botch, right? I mean, those are like more extreme, some of those people more extreme cases, but I just felt like, she has a unique look, and she just doesn't need it. And you know something? When I was looking at her when she had her makeup off, I was like, is it just me, or does she look Latina or something? Like, I thought she was a minority or something when she was just like all natural. And I was like, I wonder what she looks like with that all, with the lip fillers. I mean, I think she has a unique look. I think she's a nice looking woman. I would just like to see her with her natural lips, but that's just me. That's just me. I mean, whatever makes her happy. Yeah, I just think that he's looking at her like she's just another very attractive woman that he might talk to in the bar, but not like who he would normally be into, is what I was thinking. Now, if it all works out, she may have some little red hair babies, because did you see her brother? Did you see his brother's hair? His brother's hair is like super, super red. But she was saying like, oh, he's got a nice wave to his hair. And see that, people who do hair, we know, right? It's like, I understand, like you're looking at his hair. She just couldn't help herself with that. But he was going in right at the altar telling her like how he loves to sail, and this is going to be great. It's going to be awesome because she needs to be like adventurous. And, and the bride's and the groom party was like, well, what if she's not adventurous or whatever? But, oh, she's going to have to be. So I still say this, and I'm sticking by it. I don't see this working out. She is very invested in her business. She's just opening up her second location. I mean, what the hell is she going to be doing sailing, off the coast or whatever? I mean, whatever, I don't know. But like, that's not conducive to her lifestyle. She needs somebody who basically has their own money, but is like not a homebody, but like a local, more grounded person, not a sailor. And listen, I mean, I can't say that that's not a challenge for someone like him as well. 8th generation sailor, right? I mean, that's what you can literally say, it's in his blood. So I'm sure he really does want to find someone who, would do those kind of things with him. But his groomsman was saying like how it really hurt that last relation, maybe not the last relationship, but whatever relationship he was in when he was in Florida. And I'm like, I bet he just strung that woman along. He just has that. He just seems like somebody who's really not ready to settle down. I think he's tired of being alone, but I don't think he really has what it takes, like that sacrifice that he would have to make to not be sailing all the time and stuff like that. It's very hard to find somebody that's going to, fit all these different criteria and want to be, in the ocean most of the year. So I don't know. I just don't see this one working out. So, okay, let's go over to, so we see Eris and Jasmine and they're getting ready. And can I just say, like, Eris's groom's party, like, what the hell was up with that brother, or whoever he was with that orange hair? Come on now, listen, we can't be doing the rainbow colors at the wedding. All right. Now, there's certain rules. I am, when it comes to fashion, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit more old fashioned. I do believe in not, overdressing, or upstaging the bride or the groom. Like, like that hair was so inappropriate. Like, come on, you could have dyed that. You could have put it like a temporary color, like, they have like the gel hair color you can do. We could just make it black for the day and then go back to being like that Ronald McDonald color. That was horrendous. That was just like, I was offensive to my senses, to my sensibilities. I just couldn't stand that. So anyway, so his cousin comes over, and now this is another fashion critique. I don't know. I just can't get away from the fashion critique, guys. So the cousin who was spilling all the tea, telling us how he's not ready, blah, 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 blah. Now, I love that cousin. She was really nice and everything like that. But here's the thing. Now, while that dress the color was nice, but come on, you need to kind of class it up a little bit. It should have been like a few inches lower. And then, when your girls are large, come on, you gotta lift, right? You gotta wear a bra, or like, I don't, you can't be like in a wedding with like your, like a strapless, like coming all the way down. Come on, that didn't look very, and it was a beautiful color and everything, but it needed like another yard of material. I'm just not understanding this. But anyway, to each their own. That's what she wanted to wear. So she's talking to him and she's basically saying, like, listen, if you, I will have the engine running. If you want to change, if you change your mind, you want to go or whatever. And he says like he wants to, go through with it or whatever. But I still feel like he's not ready. And my biggest fear is that he's going to see Jasmine, and I think he's not going to be into her. That's what I think. Someone who's that picky, and then the family's telling us how picky he. I don't think he's going to be into her. I think people like that will find the smallest thing. He'll be like, oh, I love her makeup. She's got a great figure, but he's going to be like looking at like, chest acne and like, smile, things like that. I think in his mind are going to be maybe deal breakers, or at least they're not going to put him in the mind where he's going to be like that into her to the point where he's going to want to settle down. So we'll see. Hey, listen, I didn't think, I won't say I didn't think, but when it came to Woody and Amani, I didn't know how Woody was going to be. I was like, we'll see. I don't know. Because Woody was so into his clothing that it kind of made me think like, this guy likes to go out. He's not going to be. But hey, I got proved wrong. So, you never know. He may not judge her on those things that I think he's going to judge her on, but I do think he's going to judge her on those things. So anyway, she looked absolutely beautiful in her her dress. She has an amazing figure, amazing, and the makeup job was really nice. I saw how some of the sisters were dressed as well, and I was like, what's going on? I'm not really sure, but maybe that's just like the bridal stuff that they wear in the bridal thing. I'm just hoping there's not going to be like any of these like ridiculous looking, non-supportive, garments, in the audience. I'm hoping everyone's going to be addressed. Everyone is going to be addressed. I hope that everyone is going to be dressed appropriately. Okay, so I just said that. So we'll see. So, all right. So our last couple that I want to talk about is Shaquille and Kirsten. And we were all like, "Oh, Shaquille and Kirsten, she's gonna reject him and this and this and that." And I didn't know if they were kind of playing around with the camera because they try, they like to trick us. But honey, that little clip last week, that was the real deal. All right. So basically, okay, they're at the aisle, right? So they get, they're together at the altar, and then they make eye contact, and then she doesn't smile, and she like, what did she say? Oh, I wrote it down. I was writing down so fast I can't even read my own handwriting. Isn't that ridiculous? All right. Well, anyway, so once the vows start to be read aloud, right? And she then, like, it's time to go in for the kiss. And it was almost like watching it in slow motion. It was painful. Did you see that? Did you see that? He goes in for the kiss. I'm just going to do it in slow motion. I'm going to reenact it. And she goes, okay, this is him, right? Okay. And then he goes to kiss her, and then she goes, so they're looking at each other, and then she goes, just like that, real quick, she turns her cheek, and she made sure she kept it there too. So she gives him a cheek kiss, and she dodges him like complete. I mean, it was like a dodge. It wasn't even like just like a quick little. It felt like, okay, church hug and little kiss. Just like, okay, this is all you're gonna get. Okay, don't make this more uncomfortable than what it already is. This is what I'm giving you. Okay, okay, like that. And you could tell she was just. I bet her butt cheeks were like clenched. Like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. And then of course, it's his. Not sorry, his height. Of course, it's his hair or his lack of hair. It is his age. She was not happy with his age because he was a year younger than her. And, and the family's grilling him and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, you're saying all the right things and stuff, but, we'll see, how it's going to go. So, Kirsten, even though I'm thinking that, that they might not work in the end, knee-jerk reaction, or prediction, I should say, I still feel like, because he was so happy to see her. I mean, she's gorgeous, right? Now, listen, Kirsten, we can say whatever we want about her long laundry list of, attributes she wants in a man and her unicorn man. We can say what we want. But universally, I have not heard anyone not describe how pretty she is. We've had some seasons where we've had like a few very pretty women. Jasmina really comes to mind for me. And even though Katina, had a very superfluous wig, we'll call it that. Katina also, structure, body, very nice. But Jasmina was like just head to toe gorgeous. And now we have another very, very nice looking woman. So I just don't. I don't know. I don't know if she really is going to mess with him like that. I really don't know. So I think that he was like, kind of having his nervous laughter in the beginning and stuff like that. But he was probably like, oh my God, the gods have opened the heavens and sent this beautiful brown queen. She's amazing. She's amazing. Well, wait till you get to know her personality and vice versa. So, the thing about him that's a red flag to me is like how he's so. Well, listen, okay, maybe I'm biased because you guys know I'm not a religious person, right? So, and so I guess when people kind of lead with religion, even though they are religious people, so it makes sense. But I don't know, when a guy starts talking about, oh, I just want somebody I can pray with, and just sometimes I'm just like that's usually a red flag for me. Like he's just trying to talk the talk instead of like, okay, well, this is what I believe in and this is what I like to do, and we'll do it together, when the time comes. But when you're kind of just talking about that, like in your first sentences, to me, that's like, you know how those preachers do. I can't even, I'm not even going to get into that. But they are a Southern couple. But he said that he was originally from Louisiana. So that was interesting because I was wondering, like, those two, like, how come they didn't meet before? Because, I mean, the Tennessee towns, I mean, how big are they, right? They're not that big. What is this, Memphis, I think? So I'm like, how come they never met before? But he's still fairly new. So it seems like a lot of these people are transplants. So hopefully, we'll get some decent marriages out of this. But my money is in the bucket right now for Chris and Nicole. So do you guys think he's gonna really like, or she's gonna drive him crazy? I don't think so. I think Chris seems like, as long as he finds you fairly attractive and you don't cheat on him and you just give him a little attention, he seems like he'd be happy with that. Now, oh, let me go back. Okay, speaking of attention, because he does have dogs, right? So remember, like in the vows, they try to play games with Nicole, and saying like, oh, you have to love. Chris comes with whatever the dog's name is. We'll say, we'll just call them Rebecca and Rufus, okay? And then she's looking like, wait, hold on, like, wait a minute, my little spicy self is not taking any man with kids. That was the look on her face, like, are you gonna like clarify this? But then they revealed that they have dogs and stuff like that, and she seemed to be very excited to take on his dog. I mean, it just seemed to be like a good match. Maybe the experts did something, maybe with this particular couple. But let me tell you, going back now, did you guys? Now hold on, let me get good in my seat here because, okay, I'm about to gossip. So, did you guys notice when what was it? What's her name? Oh my God, Clint and Gina. Okay, so when it was time for the rings, did you guys remember when her dog came up the aisle and brought the rings around his neck? And that was a very well trained dog. So I guess, whatever, to each his own. But did you take a look at Clint's side of the family? They were making some faces like, that's not appropriate. Yeah. Did you guys see that? Go back and rewatch that and look at the looks on their faces. So I'm wondering if this is going to be a thing where they're already like putting a strike against her, and like maybe they're not really going to be feeling her. And I wonder if they're going to, if they're just, as his family, knowing that he is so into sailing and stuff like that, I wonder if they're going to be looking at her like, well, you're not the right one because you're too stable. Basically, he needs somebody who's less stable, or a woman who has a good job and a damn good Wi-Fi connect over on the sea off of the coast of Mauritius. I don't know, but I did notice there was like a little shade from his side of the family. Did you? I mean, let me know in the comments if you guys saw that. But so next week we're going to finish off the wedding with Eris and Jasmine, and who is that other couple that's coming in next week? Oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank right now. There's one more couple. Oh. How did I forget? McKinley and what's her name? The girl with the curly hair. I forget her name. Yeah, that looks, the upcoming scenes for that are not, oof, I don't know. We'll see. But after all, her mother did sign her up for this, so we don't know. We're still all sitting around wondering if she is ready for this process and ready to be married. I'm just not sure of it right now. I didn't watch the after party last night. I was too tired. I thought to myself, let me just sit here and, come out here like just sit here and watch this show and take some notes, and then I'm going to go to sleep. But, let me tell you something. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. So I'm really into boba. I love boba. Well, actually, without the boba. So I like the shake and stuff like that without the actual tapioca pearls. So trying to be cheap, I tried to make my own. And oh my God, the measurements were completely like, it was a nightmare. I was up last night till like 4 o'clock in the morning. I just could not sleep. And I was like, oh, should I just get up and do my review so they can have a review when they wake up? But then I said, nah, I don't feel like putting on makeup at 4 o'clock in the morning. But I do want to see what's going to happen next. These wedding episodes to me, I only live for the initial eye contact kind of reaction. Other than that, they're kind of a snooze, right? Well, it doesn't really get popping till they get off the honeymoon and now they're living together, and then they're like in the reality of what it's like to be married. So next week we'll have the 2 weddings and we'll see how it goes. I don't know. Did you guys, I don't know if anybody out there, you can put it in the chat or whatever. Did you guys, what did you guys think about Gina and Clint? Was it just me? Because I just didn't feel like that. Like when a man is like really into a woman, and I just didn't get that from him. Like, look at how even Chris, like he's more of a subtle guy. He's not. I don't maybe call him introverted or whatever, but he was into Nicole, and even in his little kind of almost sort of shy way, you could really tell that he was really into her. And then somebody like Shaquille, who was definitely outwardly into Kirsten. But with Clint was like he was studying her. He was trying to figure out like, is this? I don't know. Can I? Well, we'll find out. Let's see if she likes to travel. I don't know. Well. So I'm just not really feeling it with Clint. I still think him and Eris are playboys who have not hung up their cards. I feel like Eris maybe more wants to, but Clint, I don't feel like Clint is ready for this at all, at all. So we'll just, talk about it next week. We'll meet up on next Thursday. And again, if you did like it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you like, and then you'll make sure you turn on your notification bell, that little icon in the corner, and then it'll let you know when I come on live. I try to give a few minutes, for my huge, vast audience for you guys to come tune in. I know there's not a whole bunch of people, but everyone that watches very much counts. And I thank you so much for spending your time. I know there's a lot of other people you could be watching right now. I appreciate that. So that's it. I'm just not going to just keep you on here all day. I mean, other than that, we could be drinking, but right now this is about all. That's about all that's on tap. All right. It's a little bit too early for cocktails. So let's prepare to have another sort of possibly lukewarm episode next week, okay? But it's going to get good the week after that. But I still want to tune in because we got to talk about the eye contact. And you guys got to let me know in the comments section what you guys think about that eye contact and that initial chemistry. So that's it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe, take care, and chepisa lacho. See you next week.